You know what?
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Women's Cave. I lost the button.
I'm Jade, though.
Yes. Oh my goodness. And I'm Winona. And let me just admit that I completely forgot to introduce myself.
I know. And you lost it. I can't believe you lost the button to record. I mean, how long we been on Zoom now?
It doesn't mean it's kind of like forgetting to mute. It happens.
Button to record. I mean, how long we been on Zoom now? Seriously, and now we just gonna have a playback. I can't do this with you, Winona. I can't. So anyway, we wrote literary life guides with pop poetry.
Oh my goodness, yes we did. Yes, we did.
Winona,
we wrote books.
Would you like to say?
Occasionally we're intelligent and write books. I'm okay. Jade's always intelligent. It's an occasional intelligence for me.
No one's laughing. Winona, would you like to tell them what books we wrote?
Okay, we wrote And I Thought Divorce Was Bad, And I Thought Being Grown Up Was Easy, If Only I Were Me, a memoir in verse, Widow's Web, Widow's Debt, Foreign Coffee. You can get all those books wherever you get your audiobooks. Jade, you want to finish that up?
Oh, absolutely. And you can find out everything your ladies are doing in one of those books, my favorite book, And I Thought I Did My Journey Alone, on www.andithoughtLadies.com. But y'all aren't here to hear about us.
You're here to hear about our wonderful guests. Wonderful guests.
Would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hey, ladies. Good to be here. Thank you very much. I am Lisa Lucca. I'm an author and I'm a radio show host of Live True, when I talk about how to create a creative life with people who are wanting to be true to who they are and not fake it. And I'm author of Ashes to Ink, which is my memoir about me finding love with a wounded heart after my father came out as gay in the mid-1970s. So that book came out last October, and it was a real journey to write it. And now I'm working on my next book, which is the love story of me and my sweetie.
Goodness, that is so sweet. Yeah. I think that's better than actual than fictional romance. Is to read an actual true romance story.
I know, like an actual romance. I
don't think it's going to be so concise and well put together. You know, like how they always have the cute little repertoire. I'm talking too much.
Yeah, I was like, it's okay. In there, I was like, there's a question. She's getting to it. There
is a question.
Okay.
So my question was going to be, so do you read romance novels to study for writing your real life love story?
I do not read romance novels. I like reading memoir. I like reading true stories. And I have read some that have to do with people's relationships. Danny Shapiro's written a lot about that. Liz Gilbert, obviously, and Eat, Pray, Love. So I think a lot of my stories, everything I write has to do with women's journeys to being more of who they are. And, you know, when you're in a love relationship, it's not all about the other person. It's got to be you fall in love with yourself first. So once you're in that zone, then you can really call in true love. So a lot of the story is the struggle to get to that place, and also the journey both of us were on independently till we got together.
Oh, wow. Yeah, so that sounds very amazing.
It sounds intellectual.
I know it does. Right? I'm like, ooh, yeah, I feel like it's gonna be a nice intellectual journey.
So, I don't know. It's gonna there's a little, you know, it's a little spicy too in different parts, and you know, it's in my book Ashes to Ink. He's introduced as a character, and so it's great for the people who read this book to see sort of what happens next.
Fabulous.
I want to ask a terribly inappropriate question.
Don't ask it, Winona. If you said it's terribly inappropriate, what was your writing process like?
Oh, I love how you skip right over my terribly inappropriate. Go ahead.
I want to hear the inappropriate question.
No. First we're going to answer, what was the writing process like?
She's hoping I forget it.
All right, put a pin in that question. I want to hear that question. The writing process took me a long time. I didn't write it till after my dad died, when I wrote the Ashes to Ink memoir. He was quite difficult in a lot of ways, so he probably would argue with me about every single thing I wrote. But in the end, the love story writing process, you know, part of it is remembering things through journals. A lot of it is just the, you know, things you'll never forget about the struggle of finding love, because I think that is a real true thing for a lot of women, whether it's they're looking for love with a man or another woman. I think love in women is a struggle for a lot of people. And I don't write every single day, but when I do have a writing day, I write for hours.
I think that's amazing. When you have a writing day, you write for hours. That's
I
woo.
try to do that.
You plan those?
Drop in. Got to drop in to the zone.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Because once you're in the zone, I mean, you can, if you're not in the zone, you're not in the zone. I found out the more I write, if you're not in the zone, you're not in the zone. Anyway, Jade, you had questions.
So on those writing days, do you plan out what you're gonna write, or do you kind of just let it go, just let flow?
Kind of depends on the day. A lot of times when I'm deep into a project, when I know what I'm writing, like a book, so I write different scenes that I want to write, way up front, 25 scenes that are going to be in this book. And then if I sit down and I don't know what I want to write, I just go pick a scene and I drop into that. Because sometimes it's harder, sometimes it's easier. Depends on the scene. Really emotional stuff, you got to kind of be in the mood or be able to go cry for an hour when you're done. Because, if you got to go do something else with other people, it's not easy when you write that really emotional stuff, I think. And memoir can be really emotional.
Yeah.
You guys know you wrote some pretty emotional stuff and what you've been through. Yeah. So,
we have.
So I have things to say, but something.
I'm going to say, but right something. I don't understand.
I have things to say, but something that's not my show.
So what
for interview?
I need to know now. How did you jump from author to
radio host?
Well, I have always been I've been a life coach for over 20 years. So I've always had it sort of in the back of my mind as a speaker, because I've done a lot of speaking on motivational stuff. And my brand is live true to be who you are and, create the life you want and the life you have. And so through that, when we moved here to Las Cruces, I live in southern New Mexico. It's a smaller city. And so, it's kind of nice being a little bit bigger fish in a little pond. And the little public radio station here, we became friends with people who were involved. And they said, hey, you're a life coach, promote a show, give me a proposal. And so I did a little demo. And Mark, my partner, he's a DJ on his show, and he does a show called Go with the Flow. And so we both have shows on the station KTAL LP 101.5 in the Mesilla Valley.
Oh my God!
Radio voice came.
Oh my goodness, I love it. That is so great. So do you do the advertisements in between as well? Because that's a good voice right there.
Oh well, thank you. You know what? I don't, because it's public. I don't have a lot of advertising, and I really just love having conversations, particularly with women. I would say probably 90% of my guests are women. And I love talking to women writers, creators, people who are reinventing themselves, relationship shows. I really like getting into what makes people tick and how they are living true to themselves. And usually that involves creativity, like y'all.
I think creative people are always find a way to make their life interesting. They always do, no matter what box they're in or what cog they are. There's just that one little twist on that screw. What is it? It's not called a twist. And I cannot remember
thread.
what it is.
The thread on the screw.
Thank you. Thread. I was like, I know what that word. Woo! Right out the head.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I forget because you start signing too. Okay. So I wanted to know, how did you get here? What in your life said, okay, no, I'm going to become a life coach, and then I want to teach other people through my writing, through my own story, how to get where they want to be?
Well, that's a great question. When I first, when I was a teenager and I found out about my dad and I was really upset about the whole betrayal, family secret thing, I knew I would write that story one day. I always wrote poetry, and I had a little diary, with the gold lock when I was a teenage girl. And I dropped out of high school to manage my boyfriend's band, and I moved to California sight unseen. And then I toured with Janet Jackson. And so I did a lot of really cool stuff. And along the way, I always knew that this story was going to be part of one that I would write. And then after 9/11, I got laid off from my job and I went to see a life coach. And after 3 sessions, I said, I want your job. And I went back to school. And I was a single mom. And I decided that the best thing in the world would be to help people live true to who they are and reach their dreams and their goals. And that's what I've been doing ever since.
I'm sorry, you said you.
That's what I've been doing ever since. Since I went to life coach school in 2002.
Oh, I'm sorry was I want you to clarify the point that I was going to talk about next.
Okay.
This is not how you do an interview, just in case you guys were wondering. No,
never do it like that.
Don't do it like this. Do it however Lisa says you should do it. And the question that's like part B of my first.
No should. We remove should from your language. That's the first thing I tell all my clients. No shoulding on yourself. Yeah.
No shoulding on yourself.
That's nice.
Unless you have a should diaper.
Unless you have a should.
Oh my goodness.
Okay.
What was my question?
Probably about Janet Jackson.
No, it was not about Janet Jackson. It was just yes, band management.
You have to talk a little bit about that.
And then of course the B question is, you said you lost your job at 9/11. So what job is like got you from band management to having a job that you could actually lose to like
at 9/11?
And then how could you, not should you, but how could you do a radio interview? That's a 3-part question.
All right. So when I toured with Janet, which was on the heels of working in California, I started a little recording studio and a video production house. I worked up to being in that business. I, met a guy was, I don't know, 16, almost 17. He was in a band and I started hanging out with them, and I wasn't going to just be a groupie. I wanted to be a roadie. And so I was like, I'm going to book you guys at different places. I was living in Chicago. I grew up in Chicago. So I was booking all the gigs for them. And that's how I got involved in that. And then when I ran off to California, I was 21 and I moved to San Francisco, and I wanted to be in the entertainment music business somehow. I didn't care. All I had behind me was, secretarial skills, admin, something. And so I at that point, just worked in offices and got jobs in the entertainment business in the office management kind of side, and then worked at Lucasfilm, and then volunteered in my spare time on these big events in Concert Against AIDS and Earthquake Relief. And that was my foot in the door to meet the people who hired me to take me out with Janet on Rhythm Nation. And I toured for a year around the world with that show, and it was amazing. Doing production, same thing, office management on the road. And then ran off with a hillbilly, high honey, good looking roadie who took me to Nashville, and we got married, and I had my son. And 3 years later, after the inevitable divorce of running off with a roadie, I went back to Chicago and raised him near my family. And that's when I went back to doing like straight jobs, corporate project management kind of stuff. And that was the job I got laid off from, because it was involved with, direct mail, which at the time, anthrax was kind of a big deal right after 9/11. And so they shut down a whole part of the plant, and that included my job.
I haven't heard the word direct mail in forever.
Direct mail. Wow.
I know, direct mail, right? But that back then, a white envelope,
wow. Yeah, that wow. Okay, so Chicago.
Yes.
We have to talk hot dogs.
Pizza.
Oh my gosh. Jeans and Jude's in River Grove. Best hot dog ever. Hands down.
Okay. All right.
We love Chicago.
I'm not gonna lie.
Eating city.
We go out there. I know we tell everyone we go out there for 3 days to just eat. And I mean, we come back because there's like some charities that we really.
I mean, obviously
love to support,
but
for the most part,
main
May is just when we go to Chicago in May. It's because we're eating.
8 hours. Great! Wow.
3 days.
So good.
When we come back in July and all that, then
so good. Italian beef, pizza, everything. It's the best. It's the best.
Soul food.
So good.
But
Like,
even potato chips made there.
popcorn.
Yeah.
Popcorn.
Caramel ice cake. I mean,
But popcorn, like cheese and caramel. Like, yes.
you know
All the
what's really
popcorn.
sad is I live in Maryland. So saying that some of the seafood is better there is just like
It's
against
wrong,
the
but
state.
it's so true.
That doesn't make any sense, really.
Right. I mean, I'm not gonna say they make a better crab cake. Oh my goodness. I have
like,
not lost my
no,
mind.
No.
Okay, good. Because that's the best crab cakes
Oh
ever.
Yeah, ever.
Ever. Okay, so we got hot dogs. Did we want to go with pizza or are we just good with hot dogs?
I mean, we need to talk. Yeah, let's talk favorite pizza place.
Pizza, Lou Malnati's was always my favorite. I really like Lou Malnati's pizza. But I'm a real thin, crisp pizza kind of girl. I'm not a big, deep dish. So I may not be the best pizza
You're the second
aficionado.
person that was like, I really like a thin. I'm like, y'all live in deep dish heaven. I mean, it's you in Detroit that make an amazing deep dish. And then y'all like, I'd like a thin crust. That's a New York thing. Just, I don't understand.
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know. I don't know. I kind of know. How do we know? How do we pick what we like? We just like what we like, right?
Right.
Because like every time I go out there, I'm like, some days I'm sitting and I'm like, I just want a deep dish. If only I were in Chicago or Detroit.
Whatever it takes, like a yacht. So that's okay.
That's
so
cool.
we do have the last question that we like to ask everyone. So as an author, we have a lot of ups and downs, a lot of time by ourselves. What are the 3 tips that you would give someone to keep them motivated to continue on their journey and writing their book? And where can people find out more about you?
Okay. First thing, get your butt in the chair and keep it there. That is butt in chair is the number one writer tip that I can offer you. We got to start somewhere. And it's if I can get distracted by a million things around the house. And if I don't sit down to write, I'm not going to do it. So butt in chair, number 1. Number 2, it's really good to have things that spark whatever you're writing about. So for me, I use photographs. I put on music from that year that I'm writing about. If it's too distracting, I'll put on another room, but I can hear it, and I know it's some song from the 70s. So having those kinds of images and reminders, especially for writing memoir, for me, I really liked having a picture of that particular time of my life, of me, with my dad or me with my mom, so that I was able to be that little girl again. And the third one, I think, is edit. Puke out your first draft, get the story on the page, and then clean it up, because it's really hard when you keep going over the same 5 pages to make that great or perfect, which is not even a real thing. And then you never get the whole story on the page. Oh, and LisaLucca.com. People can find me at LisaLucca.com, LUCCA, and LiveTrueCoach.com is my coaching website.
Fabulous. Thank you so much for joining us today. Well, Nona, go ahead and wrap us up.
Okay, you can find out everything that you ladies are up to at www.andithoughladies.com. I'm gonna pull out an oldie but a goodie. We even have some things on there that we wish we had taken down. And I know this because I just looked at the website. And I was like, ooh, that could go down.
In the middle of the page.
Now, in the middle of the page are the charities that we proudly support. And we ask that you please take a little time out and also support them also. Jade is mouthing words on the side.
Yes.
So like I had something in my mind, and then she was like, and support them. And I was like, okay, then that's how we're saying. And we thank you in advance for that. Remember that wisdom is all around you if
you're open to finding it and accepting it. So peace and love
from Winona
and Jade. Bye-bye. Oh yeah, thanks for listening.
Thank you.